This is question number 8 on the sample test problems for test number 3. Consider the polynomial p of x equals 2x cubed minus 16x squared plus 32x minus 10. Part A, p has 1, 0, which is an integer. Find it. So for part A, you have some options. You could just, by trial and error, start plugging in values for x and hope that you find the right one soon. For example, you could check to see what p of 1 is, and p of negative 1, and p of 2, and p of negative 2. And eventually, hopefully, you find something where the answer is 0. Now, I said it's an integer, so maybe you'll find it soon, but maybe not. So let's give you another option. The other option is to look at the graph of this function right here on your calculator. So let's do that now. So I've already gone ahead and typed in the function here into y equals. And then if we look at the graph, we can see it goes up, down, and up, and there are 3 x-intercepts. And apparently one of them is an integer. So it doesn't look like that one or that one, but maybe right here it's going through some nice number. So just counting hash marks, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe it's 5. So if we wanted to know, whether or not it worked, for example, we could go into, we could figure out how much p of 5 is and hope that it's equal to 0. So if we plug 5 in for all those x's, maybe we'll get 0. I'll do that here. So that's our way of saying plug in 5 into y1. And if we get 0, then we found our nice answer. So from graphing calculator, x equals 5 is a 0 of p. And we're done with this part, but I'll just continue and say, therefore, x minus 5 is a factor of p. And we're going to use that now. Part B, the function p has 2 irrational zeros. Find their exact value. And the hint is long division. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to take x minus 5 and divide it into the original. Now I already know it's going to go in evenly. That is to say there will be no remainder, a 0 remainder when we're done. But what I'm interested in is what ends up here. Because what ends up here is going to be some quadratic. I'm just making it up right now. But whatever it is at the end, I'll be able to find the zeros of that using the quadratic formula. So let's do the long division here. We'll put our box around the first thing. That's x. And then the first thing here. And so we take x and put it into 2x cubed. So we'll put this up on the side. So that's the two things in the box divided. And when we do that division, we get 2x squared. So that's our first quotient. We'll put it right up here. Then we multiply 2x squared times this whole thing over here. So 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared times negative 5 is minus 10x squared. Then we subtract the entire thing. And let's write down what we get. The x cubed cancel. Negative 16x squared minus 10x squared. So that's really a plus 10x squared is minus 6x squared. Then we bring down the next term, which is a plus 32x. I'll put this first guy in the box, and we repeat. So the next division is x into negative 6x squared. And that goes negative 6x times. So that's our next quotient, and it goes up on the top. And then again, we multiply the negative 6x times the entire x minus 5. So that's negative 6x squared plus 30x. Subtract the whole thing. X squareds cancel. 32x minus 30x is 2x. Put that in red. Then we bring down the minus 10. And then one last division. Put this in the box. So our last division is x going into 2x. And that goes in twice. So plus 2 is our last quotient. Multiply that 2 by the thing in the front, by the x minus 5. We get 2x minus 10. Subtract, no surprise, we get 0. That 0 is the remainder. It meant that x minus 5 went evenly into the original polynomial. Okay, so what does that mean? It means that the original 2x cubed minus 16x squared plus 32x minus 10 is equal to, we found that x minus 5 was a factor, and then the rest of it is this quotient that we just found. 2x squared minus 6x plus 2. And so again, part B, the direction said function p has 2 irrational zeros. Find their exact value. Well, one value is x equals 5, but the 2 irrational zeros are whatever values make this thing equal to 0. So we need to solve 2x squared minus 6x plus 2 equals 0. So you could factor out the 2. Probably we should have done that from the very beginning with the original polynomial up there. But I think ultimately we'll have to use the quadratic formula no matter what. So let's factor out that 2. Again, you don't need this step, but we'll factor it out to make the numbers a little friendlier. And then we'll use the quadratic formula. And so we're plugging in all these things for the thing inside the parentheses in there. And so it is 3 plus or minus square root of 3 squared is 9 minus 4 times 1 times 1. That's divided by 2 times 1. So the whole thing turns into 3 plus or minus root 5 over 2. So those are the 2 irrational zeros. 3 plus root 5 over 2 and 3 minus root 5 over 2. And then finally part C says write P in completely factored form and don't forget the leading coefficient. So starting with this guy right here, P of x turned out to equal. So it's a cubic, so we know it's going to have 3 factors. X minus, x minus, x minus. And what goes in there are the zeros. One of them was 5. That was the easy one. The other 2 are the ones that we just found. So 3 plus root 5 over 2 and 3 minus root 5 over 2. And then that hint, don't forget the leading coefficient, which was a 2, always goes right in the front. So this is in completely factored form.